E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guinois Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. As we continue this series of Change Your Mental Vision, oh my goodness, there's just a ton of information in there. And we'll probably be running this same series through next week because of the volume of information. Yesterday, Emerson and I, we covered the first seven or eight. 8 principles of the 17 success principles. They're starting out with a positive mental attitude. That's your first step. Then you have to have a definite of purpose and going the extra mile, which means you don't quit when you run into, problems. This is one of the things that we've talked about in previous shows about don't make a decision, make options instead, because once you make a decision in your mind, you've built a mental box. And your mind is inside that box. So when other opportunities come, you cannot see it. That's why you make options to be able to go and grow and be flexible, because the ideas that come to you, they're usually better. Well, let me say this. The ideas that come to me are usually better than my ideas. There we go. And I'm sure some of you out there can relate to it. We also talked about accurate thinking. We can expand on that as we did. But really what accurate thinking is getting good information from other sources. It can be research on the internet, it can be from a book, it can be from someone else or a group of people. But make sure you double check your information. And we talked about self-discipline. That's very, very important to be able to discipline yourself. That's a prerequisite to be fully successful in life. It's also a prerequisite for you and I and everybody else to enjoy a good, healthy, comfortable lifestyle. Okay? And the mastermind. Oh, Donna and I and Emerson and I, we all talk a lot about the mastermind here because that is something we use all the time, every single day. And when you use a mastermind, what happens, the energy starts flowing between 2 or more minds. And as Emerson says, a third mind's been created, which is true. But the ideas that start coming, it's just electrifying. And if you're not having a mastermind with a 101 or 1 or 2 people, of people who are subject matter experts, people's knowledge that you respect, you are cheating yourself. You're robbing yourself. Not trying to sound cruel, I'm just being straight up. And then, of course, we talked about having applied faith. You've got to be able to believe in what you're doing. Believe in your cause. Get others to believe in the cause, because that's very, very critical. And then having a pleasing personality. We ended up with that one there. But I've been keeping Emerson backstage, and he's probably wondering, what am I doing up here? And but I just wanted to open the show and welcome you folks there. And also Emerson Brantley, our Director of Marketing. Mr. Emerson Brantley, welcome to the show, sir.
There you are.
Yeah.
Hi, Jim. Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
Jim, man, I'm doing great, but I'll get better.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. I was so excited to get you on the stage. I clicked that thing twice.
It's okay. I'm just glad he didn't use that old hook thing twice,
Oh, yeah. I know how that goes. We've been enjoying having you here on the show with us, filling in with Donna and then filling in for me. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful thing because, Emerson, you bring so much knowledge and so much value to marketing and how to common sense, grassroots reality relate to people. And Yeah. You've been working with Fortune 100 companies most of your life, and gosh, most of your
Well, I
career,
worked
I
with
should
mom
say.
and pops too, and started thousands of startups and small businesses over the years. So it's being a student of people,
Hmm.
including myself,
Yeah.
and that's what Clement Stone and Napoleon Hill, they that was the gist of all of this, was studying what are the things that make the difference. Why is one person massively successful and another person just never seems to get past go,
Mhm.
and they both have the same potential, the same possibility, the same resources at their hands.
Mhm.
And in marketing, it's important for me to be able to understand what's driving the market. We call it fancy 25-cent word, the psychographics. What's the underlying drivers? Not, I'm going to segue here just a second, Jim. You've been
Go
through
ahead.
this. We spent
Go
a
ahead.
week together in training when I did the class that you were in. But people talk about demographics and psychographics. Demographics is a lot more familiar term to a lot of people. But demographics are like, where do you live? What do you drive? What kind of income do you have? What kind of job do you have? How many kids do you have? Things like that. Demographics are real easy to measure. If you have 3 kids, you got 3 kids. If you drive a Ford and not a Chevy, that's, all of those things are pretty easy to find and track and identify. But the thing is, demographics are the result, in most cases, of decisions that you've made. You bought the Chevy instead of the Chrysler or whatever. You decided to have children, you decided to get married, you decided to move to a particular area or to go in a different particular career or whatever. Psychographics, that's the why. That's the things that are the drivers. That's the things that are getting you going and make you go and make you make the decisions that you make. Those are a lot harder to put your finger on. And what Napoleon Hill and what Clement Stone did, again, to look at how all of these things interplay together in our life and how they affect your life's path, your life's story. The good news for everybody is whatever book you've been writing your life, you can make the next chapter anything you want it to be. And if you decide, you know what, I think I just want to change my whole book.
Right.
You can do it when you approach it and understand that you have that ability. You have that ability right now. And some of our viewers, life's dealt you pretty rotten hands.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of in our own in the world, in our country, we've had a lot of loss over the last year, and a lot of people still suffering. And not just from the pandemic, financial issues, jobs. It's just like it goes on and on and on and on. Right now, at this particular moment when we're recording this, there's tremendous shortage for people with children who have special dietary needs. And the supply chains have been messed up. So we all have things, physical things we deal with, emotional, mental things we deal with, abuse we deal with, and on and on and on and on and on. We can't always control what those things are that happen. The key in PMA and the key in what we're talking about here is it's not about controlling stuff outside of yourself. It's about controlling the stuff inside of yourself. That is how you process it and what you do with it.
Absolutely.
Because I can't control anybody else in the world. I can't control if the bus I need is on time, if there's going to be a storm this afternoon, if my boss is going to get on the wrong side of the bed. I can't control if some guy is going to cut me off in traffic. There's nothing in the outside world that I really have very much control over, but I have 100% control over this part right here. And that's what these principles we're talking about directly affect.
Absolutely. And I'm getting some kind of an echo there.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there.
Well, I don't know.
Let me do a test here. 1, 2, 3. It's not echoing now. So, I mean, there for a while, it sounded like I just had a rushing noise.
It's not me that's echoing. It was on your end, you think?
No, it was on your end. I know that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Anyway, let's drive on. Let's drive on. One of the things before we get into the rest of the success principles, one of the things that I really admire about Emerson, this is where he's brilliant at. A lot of people do not understand marketing. We want to hit that a little bit today because marketing is not, okay, here's my ad or here's my video and you buy from me and all that. That's commerce. Marketing has to be a relationship where it's a win, win, win right down the line. And this is one thing that Emerson has taught me. This is worth, this is very valuable. Let me say that. And I'm just going to turn the mic over and let him just freelance however he wants to say that, Emerson.
Well, marketing is all about relationships. And a lot of times if you own a small business or if you're an officer in a company, as Jim pointed out, I've worked with everything from Fortune 100 companies all the way down to mom and pops, startups, hardware stores, 4,000 population towns, and solopreneurs and internet marketers. I mean, you name it. Ministers of tourism and on and on and on. Marketing is all about relationships and the relationships that we build and the quality that you bring to that relationship. And by the way, if you own a business or, as I said, or a manager or officer in a business, the value that your customers bring to you. The problem a lot of times is we look at that as the big thing. Just what do my customers bring me? When we step into our own value and understand real clearly what is the value that you bring to everyone else, all of a sudden, it's like the clouds start to clear. And all of a sudden, people begin coming to you and you begin having fewer and fewer of the issues that drive you nuts. Because your value will automatically reach some of the people and they'll respond to it. And other people will say, I don't need that. Why do I need that? Who do they think they are? I can go anywhere I want. My money's good. And those are the people you don't want to have to be dealing with.
Exactly right.
When we have that level of respect with the people that are our clients and customers, those people end up being with you for years. They love you. They do what you tell them to do. They forgive you when you screw up. And Lord knows we all screw up, Jim. Right? And I
didn't think you're going to talk about me today.
We all screw up. And the thing is, the ones that you don't want are the ones to say, well, they should have done it right the first time. And they go and tell 10 of their friends about how you screwed up, even after you've been over backwards to fix it. The ones that you want are the ones who forgive that and are still referring people and love you and care about you. And that's relationship. It's not transactional. So in understanding that, the things that I learned from W. Clement Stone in my early career when I worked with Combined Insurance Company and other valuable mentors that I had during that time. But the things that I learned from him totally opened my mind to how people think and make decisions or excuses, how people, will move and see the opportunities and the challenges of their life because we're all going to have them. PMA isn't about, and I said this in our last show, PMA is not about being a Pollyanna or seeing the world through rose-colored glasses or ignoring reality. PMA, or positive mental attitude, is simply an attitude that is looking for that, as Hill and Stone put it, in every adversity, that seed of a greater or equal benefit.
Absolutely.
And in every adversity, there's the seed of a greater are equal benefit. And we can go through example after example after example after example. The one that's in my mind right now is Stephen Hawking, a brilliant physicist and mathematician who had a crippling disease in college. A lot of people don't realize that this is while he was literally in college, this crippling disease, and put him in a wheelchair and ultimately took away his ability to even speak without aid of a computer. And yet he made more advances in physics and in science and in mathematics than just about anybody in our lifetime. He easily could have ended up watching reruns in the afternoon on TV, depressed, and upset with his lot in life, and nobody would wish that on anybody. But he continued using the one thing that he had, which was his ability to process. And if that's not an example of somebody who took a positive mental attitude and didn't let any of that stop them,
right?
I don't know what is.
You're absolutely correct. Let me mute your mic here a minute. You're absolutely correct there, Emerson, because when it comes to a positive mental attitude, Zig Ziglar said, your attitude will determine your altitude. And as Emerson was talking there, I wanted to share with you, there was a business that I did business with here in this town, Brenham, and they specialized, they were the best at front end alignments, or they line all four wheels. And I went in there one time and, got my wheels aligned and all that. And I don't really recall, but I guess casually, the wife who was taking care of the counter, she must have asked me what my birthday was. And I told her, and didn't think too much about it. She didn't ask what year or anything like that, I don't think. But anyway, my point being, every single year for as long as they were in business, they sent me a birthday card. And, you think about on social media with your clients, sending them out a birthday message that I'm very glad, happy birthday. I wanted to wish you a happy birthday. And sometimes I do that, not faithfully, to be honest with you. But what I like to do sometimes is to send one the day before and to say, I wanted to beat the rush and wish you a happy birthday. And people get a kick out of that. And I think we got the problem solved there. I don't hear that rushing noise anymore when I speak. But oh yeah. Emerson also too, since we're on this topic here, brother, let's talk about, and I know we're wanting to get into the principles. If we don't do it today, we'll do it tomorrow. But I really want to talk about, because I know there's people out there that would really benefit from this. And that is, most marketers are just trying to market something, sell something, and attract people and yada, yada, yada. But how important is it for people to know that you give back? What is your cause is what I'm beating around the bush to say, because a cause is very, very important, because that automatically attracts like-minded people to your way of thinking. It's very valuable, isn't it, Emerson?
Yeah, having that purpose that's bigger than your company, your business, your products, your services is huge, because at the end of the day, first of all, recognize your uniqueness in the marketplace, your unique value proposition, if you will. Your uniqueness really isn't about you. It's about them. It's about your clients and your market. Okay. So what do you bring to them? And one of the things that I counsel all of my clients, no matter how small or large they are, in fact, a project Jim and I are working on is one of the first things that I said we needed to do, was to find a major cause bigger than this project that we were working on that we could tie it to. Now, here's the example that I use, and I think everybody will get a chuckle out of this because we've all seen this before. And I'm going to use physical brick and mortar kind of business as an example. This isn't about having a barrel in your waiting area, and if you bring in a can of beans, you get 10% off on Tuesday. You know, this isn't some little thing that's just kind of being something you do. It's about taking an attitude. You're taking a stand. You're standing in your value when you say, this is important to us, to me, to our company, to our business. If somebody says, well, that's all well and good, but how much is it going to be? Because I got to go with the cheapest and the 3-bid or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So-and-so has this. Can you beat that deal? That's fine. And that's your choice. But I don't want to work with clients who don't share the values. If they don't share the values, it's a marriage or a relationship that's bound to hit rocks along the way.
Oh yeah.
And that's just it's not good for you. It's not good for them. It's not good for your staff or your team. And the thing is, there's no value in it.
Right.
So when in a project that Jim and I are working on, and Donna, we wanted to be able to tie it into some cause that was bigger. And the one that we chose in particular has to do with veterans and working with programs that specifically address veterans issues. And it's not something that was casual. Jim's a veteran, as everybody knows. It was not something that was, hey, let's find one that'll really pull the heartstrings of people. It was find something that mattered, that we could stand in, and that becomes part of the value proposition that we are delivering. And if somebody says, well, I don't really care about veterans one way or the other, you guys go do that if you want to. My money's good. Here's my credit card. I just want to buy this thing from you. Well, you know what? At that point, you have a choice. And somebody would say, well, if they got a credit card, I know what my choice would be. Well, that's where a lot of times businesses mess up. And stay with me on this for just a minute. If marketing in business is really about building relationships, we're talking about long-term relationships of mutual value and trust. We're not talking about a transaction. We're not talking about, their money's good, their credit's good, or whatever. Of course it is. Nobody's arguing that. But do you really want to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have some level of shared value or doesn't understand that here are where your values are? I'm not talking about being mean or ugly or divisive or anything else. I'm saying be a complete person, be a complete business, be a complete member of the community, be somebody who says, this is something I believe in and stand for.
Yeah.
And I want it to be understood. This is part of our value system.
Yeah.
If I don't agree with that value system, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But and if I don't really care one way or the other about the value system, you know what? It becomes a choice. But honestly, find something that is something you value, and then hold that out as part of who you are. That's a value proposition. Yeah. And not just that you had the biggest, greatest, fastest, strongest, oldest, largest, most of this, or least of this, or more buttons, or it's the next person is going to be able to say they got one more than you do.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why we picked the veterans because that's who I am. Yeah, it would not have been a good call for me to say our cause is unwed mothers because I'm not. That's not a good fit for me. Sure, I believe in that cause, don't get me wrong, but that's not something that just fits my DNA, you might say. It just could, because being a veteran and being a lifetime member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars and serving in Vietnam, 31 years, all that stuff, that's who I am. And another thing that came to mind as Emerson was talking there, if the person is trying to beat you up on price, you don't need them. Because all they'll do is two things. Every time they come back, because they already know they can take advantage of you.
You're training them.
Yeah. You're setting a standard. Not only will they try to beat you up on price every time, in their mind, they'll always believe they left money on the table.
Yeah, no matter how good you do.
And who needs that heartache?
Yeah, no matter how good you do.
You need that like a poor hound dog needs a case of fleas.
There's only one cheapest, whatever it is that you do in your business, there's only one company that is the cheapest. And there's only one company that is the biggest. And there's only one company that's the oldest. You know, that matters to some people, but you're never going to be the biggest and you're never going to be the cheapest. Just be the best, because there's only one company that can be those other things, because those are absolutes.
Yeah.
Being the best, that's a relationship thing with each individual client or customer. You can be their best. And you know what? When you're their best, the rest of it is a whole lot less important.
Yes, absolutely. And one of my pet peeves, and this is showing my age and my ignorance, but when I say thank you to someone, I don't like for someone to reply to me, no problem. That just rubs me the wrong way, and, you say thank you for your business, something like that, or send out information, thank you for your business. And if someone says thank you, or you're replying to a response that says thank you, don't say no problem. Goodness gracious. Who's the bird brain that came up with that? But it just went viral. Everybody's brainwashed and trained to say no problem.
Well, that's like saying, just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
They should have done it right the first time. Just saying.
Yeah. It's a very negative thing, and train your brain to get out of that mode, because it's not complimentary. If they say thank you and you say my pleasure, or glad to be of service, or happy to be able to assist you, whatever fits your persona.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. There you go.
Often 9 times out of 10, a thank you and a you're welcome is great. If somebody pays you a great compliment and everything else, simply saying thank you is great.
Yeah.
If somebody has they're thanking you for something, you're welcome is great. That's simple.
Yeah.
Says it. It's easy.
Yeah. I love what you said the other day on the show, because if someone says, gee, that's a nice outfit you have on. And this old thing. Because we don't feel like we're worthy. That's a problem up here in between the ears.
Or that we're unique, or that we're special.
Oh, yeah.
And especially, and this is for everybody, whether you're in business or not, you are unique and you are special. And some of the things about you aren't that great. Okay? Because that's human.
He's talking about me now.
but you know what? There's no news there. You don't need to keep reminding yourself of those things. What matters is that you recognize the things that make you of value, unique and individual and special. And when we realize that there's something that you do that impacts other people, and you do it as good or better than anyone else in the country. And I can't see you because we don't have a studio audience here, but I know a lot of people are just rolling their eyes going, he doesn't even know me, he's telling me this. I am an absolute believer that uniqueness means that there are things that you are able to be and do better than anyone else for that other person.
Oh, yeah.
See, it's not about you're better than everybody else. It's about relationships. So you're able to be that one person for them. It spills over to business. It spills over into our personal relationships. When I've told the story before, when I met my wife, when we first met, after 2 or 3 months, we talked an awful lot about everything in the world under the sun. Neither one of us was looking for a relationship. By a show of hands, how many of you been at that place in your life before, right? But I woke up one morning and realized there are a lot of wonderful people in the world. There's only one that I want to be with and spend my time, my life with, and that's my wife,
Mhm.
Ann. And I went to her studio, I asked her to sit down, and I said, Annie, you don't need me, and I don't need you. And she said, yeah. And your point? I said, I feel like together we enhance each other. Will you marry me? And she looked at me and cocked her eyes and went, yes. We had never discussed it. We never talked about love and romance and marriage. We talked about everything else under the sun. Relationships and trust, trusting yourself and trusting that you're building a long-term relationship of mutual value and trust.
Oh, yeah.
That is mission critical.
Yes.
And not just in business, but in your personal life, with your children, with your family, with your neighbors, with your community. It's finding those relationships of mutual value and trust. And one of the things that we talked about in the class that Jim participated in was you have value as a human being. In business, though, we have to look at value. What is value? Value is what I'm bringing to somebody else. Now, for myself, I have to have value as a person to myself. Otherwise, I'm a mess. Okay, or more of a mess, maybe. But in terms of a relationship, it's the value that I'm willing to bring to the relationship. For business, when we talk about unique value proposition, old terminology, a lot of people still call it unique sales proposition, but it's the unique value proposition. What is it that makes you stand apart for them? Not for everybody who passes the billboard today, right? Or everybody who sees the Facebook ad, but individual relationships. What is the value that you bring to them? And Stone and Hill understood this. The whole concept of mastermind, the whole concept of a mastermind has to do with everybody in this small little group bringing their best value into that group.
Yes.
And then what happens is when you bring your very best, all of a sudden, the way that it was described is literally, it's like a third mind appears, a mind that is bigger and greater than all, more than the sum of the parts. The old great 80s word synergy. The sum is greater than the sum is great, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That's what a mastermind is. And when we're talking about bringing our best, well, you got to be willing to let go of that best. You got to be willing to share it. And to do that, we have to be okay with ourselves. And all these things we've been talking about, all of these different principles we've been talking about here, self-discipline, accurate thinking, going the extra mile, all of these things that we're talking about are character traits, they're characteristics. And they're the things that they call them the 17 principles. But they're the things that when you show up and you're standing in your value, it's like you'll light up the room emotionally, mentally, physically, and you will change lives. And in response, your life will also end up being changed.
It certainly will. And I love the way you shared all that information, because it was just flowing beautiful, Emerson, because it's really amazing how, we get caught up in ourselves and how we can get distracted. And one of the things too is that your personal initiative, that's one of the success principles.
Yes.
And that is extremely important for you to have the ability to, like one of the phrases I remember out of that book, if you think about something and, you need to do something, you go like, well, I don't feel like doing that now. Push the self-starter like you're pushing a button, cranking up. Do it now.
That's
Train your
powerful.
brain. Do it now. And train your brain like that, because if you get that subconscious brain shooting that signal to your conscious brain, do it now, guess what? You're going to get a lot more things done. You're going to have more free time.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel better and sleep better at night.
And the tie into that with that same one that he says, and sometimes, I'm going to say this, I've said it before. Some of these are truisms, and this is one that I consider a truism. It's if it is to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
Everything isn't up to you. We get it. Okay. It's and there is no self-made person that doesn't depend on other people, that the resources, the street paved, the lights working, the ship, the driver's doing the delivery. It's like we are all interdependent.
Yes.
And we're going through a situation right now where we're seeing just how interdependent we are with other manufacturers, other companies, and other parts of the world outside of the supply chain that maybe we depended too much on. Right. There are things that in your life are beyond your realm of control. So if it is to be, it's up to me. That's a self-starter.
Yes.
He's using. It's saying, I can't wait around for all of the things I can't control. The one thing I can control is what I do and what I think.
Amen.
Not necessarily in that order, hopefully. But if it's to be, it's up to me. And the second half of that is do it now.
Right.
Don't sit around and wait. And I love to swim. It's one of the ways that I like to work out. And every time I go in, I get to the edge of that pool and I got a minute of moment's hesitation because I know it's going to be cold. But the only thing I've learned to do is you just jump in. And I see people, they're coming down the stairs, they're putting their toe in and just shaking and put another toe in. It's like, just jump in.
Yeah.
Just do it. And often, just in the doing, it starts the wheels in motion. Whatever it is that you're wanting to work towards.
Absolutely. And the next one on the list is enthusiasm. And I'm going to start this off and let Emerson pick up on it. Enthusiasm to me, be enthused about what you're doing, but let me use cleaning out the garage for an example. We can all relate to that.
I'm enthusiastic that you're going to clean out your garage.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your confidence. I'll do it now. I'll be right back. But realistically, most people think about cleaning out a garage. Oh, it's a chore. It's a job. It's hot. It's this and that. But proper enthusiasm, you're going to look at and imagine how the garage is going to look once you're done. What's the end result? That's the way I look at enthusiasm. Because I know it's going to take some, sweat equity, as I like to call it, and some things will go well, some things won't go well, lessons learned. But when it comes to enthusiasm, I want to keep my mind on the end result of how it's going to look when I'm finished. That keeps me motivated. And think about how you would feel when you say, yes, the garage is clean. You're not going to make the newspapers or anything, but deep down inside, you're going to feel Yeah, you ought to see Emerson's garage, right? But really, enthusiasm, that's my way of it, kind of explain it. And I'd like to, for you to share your thoughts on enthusiasm.
It's interesting because Donna and I talked a little bit about this on one of the other shows, and she made a comment about, this one kind of, there was a thing in it that kind of sat in a crawl about people say fake it till you make it. Well, that's a way extreme end of it. But here is something that was a part of the self-starter that Clement Stone used within his company. To be enthusiastic, act enthusiastic. And we actually had a little thing we would do. Our team meetings and sales meetings were they were cut from a different cloth, I could tell you, but there was actually a thing that we would start really low and slow, and then we'd get louder and louder. But to be enthusiastic, act enthusiastic. To be enthusiastic, you act enthusiastic. And if you do that in front of a mirror a few times, it starts to shift things. It starts to shift things.
Mm.
So enthusiasm, what is enthusiasm? Enthusiasm is an emotional state of mind, of energy. You talk a lot about energy, Jim. It's an emotional state of energy.
Yeah.
And if you're lying on the couch with a bag of potato chips going, I just don't know. I know I need to do it, but I just don't want to get started on that old garage. Holy cow. I just walk out there and I just want one. Well, get up, get in front of a mirror and just start being enthused. Just start acting it out physically.
Yeah.
Your physical body and your brain. Your brain is physical and it's electric. It's energy. But all of it's interconnected. Your heartbeat starts going. It's pumping the blood faster. Adrenaline starts happening. All of these things begin to happen. But we would just start that out to be enthusiastic. You act enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And that's different than fake it till you make it.
Oh, yes.
At the end of it, we were pumped up. We're ready to go.
Yeah. I never have like that fake it till you make it, because that just, it just didn't attract me at all. But one of the things I remember about the book that I think it was in the Success to a Positive Mental Attitude, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emerson, but stand in front of a mirror.
Yes.
And say, I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. Yes. And do that 3 times with emotion. Get fired up. Yeah. Now, if you're in the house and there's other people in there and they hear you in the bathroom hollering, I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. They might look at you a little funny, but that's okay. Just tell them, I'm just trying to get my attitude up because I got to live with you people. No, but realistically, what that does, it shakes up everything. It gets everything going. Yeah. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. And what you were saying there, I believe it was Stone that recommended start out, here with the first one, here with the second one, then up here with the third one. I mean, crank it up. Wake up that mind. And it's amazing how that will help you in your outlook, your attitude, your everything. It helps shake off the rust.
It shakes off the rust. I don't remember who it was who talked about sharpening the saw. I can't think now. But but it's the idea. Your brain, one of the things about your brain is that your brain believes. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what isn't. It really doesn't.
No.
And if you tell your brain that you're a failure and a loser and that there's no way you can do something, and I just don't have the energy and I can't. If you're telling your brain that, guess what? Your brain believes you.
Yeah.
This isn't airy-fairy kind of stuff. It's how we're wired.
Yeah.
Your subconscious brain does not know the difference between a dream and what's happening right now when you're driving your car. It doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Your subconscious brain, it's 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
But it's not the part that's making that separation. It believes it. And if you tell it, if you tell a child or you tell yourself, the self-talk is the thing that really gets us in trouble. But if you tell yourself that you're happy, you're healthy, and you're terrific, and you begin a process, you don't just say it one time and go, well, I don't feel any different, but you're giving yourself self-talk, and the self-talk is something your brain is hearing, it's processing it. And what happens in the brain, they've measured this, folks. This isn't, I don't even know how, this isn't some motivation stuff. They've measured it with brain image scanning. I've been in the room. I've seen the images where the brain literally lights up in the areas that it's stimulating. Prayer stimulates.
Yeah.
Meditation stimulates areas of the brain. And there's real connections in there.
Yeah.
And when you are giving input into your brain,
Mm-hmm.
thinking it is one way that you're doing it. And we think stuff, we got tapes going on all the time. But when you speak it and your brain actually hears it physically,
Mm-hmm.
that has a much more profound effect.
Right,
So
right.
choosing the words that we say and then reminding ourselves of those things,
Oh, yeah.
it changes the brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a real cool thing to do. Oh, you're so positive. I like working with you, Jim. You're just so positive all the time. It's not. No. This is about physiological changes that actually take place in
Mm-hmm.
our brain. And
Yes.
they've measured it. They know it. There's not a question about the fact that that is what happens.
Yeah, because that's very important. I like what you mentioned the fact that when people meditate, because we all know people that meditate or
Mhm.
know someone that does, and when they get done meditating, they feel very, very good. Now, let me wrap something up here. We've heard, the saying, "What the mind can believe, the
Mhm.
mind can achieve." Okay,
Well,
that's true.
whatever the mind can conceive and believe,
And believe. Thank you. The
yeah, it
mind
can
will
achieve.
achieve. Yeah,
Yeah.
that can be good or bad. Let
And
me
that's
give you.
important because the conceiving of it can also be in the mind.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to just be something I look at and believe.
right, right.
So my mind
Now,
conceives it. I've never seen it before,
yeah,
but I can believe it. I
mhm,
can achieve it.
yeah, because I got the strangest secret there by Earl Nightingale. It's on YouTube. Listen to that. I'm trying to remember the name of the poison, and I cannot. So forgive me. But his point was, think of your mind being like the earth, the soil. Okay, if a farmer plants a seed of corn, the soil will return corn. If he plants the poison, I can't remember the name, the soil will return the poison. Okay. The soil cannot make the decision on what, the farmer gives it. Therefore, you've got to make the decision on
Yeah,
what you plant in your brain, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
it does. And
And
look again. And this is without being religious,
mhm,
but spiritually minded.
mhm.
Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone didn't just make this stuff up.
No.
Hill spent years interviewing some of the most successful moguls of the day to find out what was the difference, what was the secret. But he could have gone back even further. Um, in the Judeo-Christian faith and
Mhm.
in other faiths, you'll find these same principles. You'll find these same principles.
Oh, yeah.
You'll find in the Old Testament where the Hebrews they were given things to remind themselves of, that you are
Mhm.
above only and not beneath, the head and not the tail. And they were affirmations. They were
Right.
things to say to them,
Mhm.
you're a chosen people. Okay. It's not just in the Judeo-Christian faith.
Mm-mm.
We can go into the Sanskrit. You can go into you can go into Islam. You can go into many of the other religions, and you'll find
Mhm.
that the concept of words and the things that we say in our brain,
Mhm.
well, these are thousands of years ago in many cases, but the concept was there,
Right.
and it's not something that was just some new
Mm-mm.
thing or new age thing or anything like that. The concepts were there, and people were understanding it.
Yeah.
They didn't understand it maybe the way we understand it now. And they sure didn't have
Mhm.
brain scans to be able to see the
Oh,
physiological
no. Uh-uh.
effect that it had.
Yeah.
But these are things that you'll find pretty much in all of the major religions that I've
Mhm.
studied over the years,
Mhm.
and whole cultures that have these belief systems.
Mhm.
You can call them myths or religion or whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, what Hill did was he began to codify these things. And in our lifetime, what he did was amazing. And when
Mhm.
Clement Stone stumbled across it, he the lights went off in his head.
Yeah.
And he said, I need every one of my 5,000 salespeople all over the country to have a copy of this.
Mhm.
And not just that, I'm not just going to send them a book. You know, he sent me this book and has in the front where little signature card and everything.
I see the front of the book. I see the front of it. See the cover.
Well, here's another one from him. This one.
Oh, I've got that book, The Success System That Never Fails. Yeah, he's great.
And there's his card, right? But the thing is, when he sent it out, he didn't just say, okay, now we'll see how those guys perform now. Let's see, they've got it now. They've got it. They can do it. No, he changed his entire company and built his entire company, restructured the entire company all the way from the top to the bottom. Every meeting, every sales meeting, every contest, anything that we were doing, all of these principles were part of it, from the top down to the bottom. And it was all in for him. And that's pretty profound. So the principles themselves, are not something that they just kind of made up, say, I got this. Hey, let's call it a major mind. No, let's call it a mastermind. Ooh, I like that. They didn't just make the stuff up like out of the blue. This is actually pretty well thought out. And anybody that's looking for a roadmap, reading these books, and not just reading them. I talked on another one of the shows about the program that we had with Combined Insurance was called 1357. The 1357 was just a figure they pulled out of the air, I think, for 13 minutes and 57 seconds a day. So you set aside focused 13 minutes and 57 seconds a day. Okay, that's catchy. It can be 14 minutes. Nobody's going to get on you if it's 15, But the idea is you don't just do it hit and miss, random. I'm going to read some here. I didn't read today. I'll read now. It was like you structured it. You know what was one of these principles that we had here, Jim? Self-discipline. Right?
Oh yeah, self-discipline.
Right? So you structure it. You clear the decks. You shut the door. You focus. 13 minutes 57 seconds. You read, and you're looking to do the R2A2 formula, which was recognize it. What's the principle I'm recognizing? How does I relate it in my life? How am I going to assimilate it in my life? And what action am I going to take? So it was the R2A2, and we had to do that every single day, pull out a principle or some aspect of what we were reading. And I encourage everybody to do this and think about it from that perspective. And then every week we would review what we had done and kind of congeal what the 7 days, what the big ahas were out of those 7 days, and how we were going to recognize, relate them in our life, assimilate them, and then what action they were going to do. What difference is it going to make in your life? Yeah.
We got just a couple of minutes left. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you something of true value right now. This is the book that we're talking about, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude by W. Clement Stone and Napoleon Hill. These are the gentlemen on the back. If I get the camera there right. Okay, get my finger out of the way. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Now, here's a nicety to know. There's a lot of people out there who have built their coaching trainings and all that around the same information that's in this book. They just put their slant on it. I'm not knocking them or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I've done the same thing. Okay. But my point being, as tight as everything is, with gas prices up, food prices up, and people struggling, you can Google that online, go on your internet, and you can download a PDF word for word of the Success to a Positive Mental Attitude, and it will not cost you one thin dime. That's my gift to you, because Emerson and I, we encourage you to fill your mind with good thoughts, fill your mind with good information, be in charge and in control of your mind. Don't worry about the gas prices. We can't do anything about that or anything of that nature, but be focused on what you can control, which is your attitude, the things you think about. And remember, I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Oh, yeah. And, just be a blessing to yourself. Enjoy your life, because you know what? You're entitled to it and you deserve it.
And there are no dress rehearsals.
There you go.
There
There
are
you
no
go.
dress rehearsals. This is it.
Yeah. Yep.
The lights are on, the stage is there, and what we do is we walk out on that stage. That
And it's
is it.
showtime.
There's no dress rehearsals.
Yeah, be sure and show up because it's showtime. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone, and we're going to be back tomorrow with another great show. We're going to be finishing up on these principles and that sort of thing because we don't want to, we want to have you give you all the wisdom and knowledge and share information with you. And we hope that you and your loved ones are healthy and happy in all areas of your life. We hope that you're no one in your family is sick or anything of that nature. If they are, we send our prayers and thoughts to you. But most importantly, love yourself. That is important. Feel healthy, feel happy, feel terrific because you deserve it. Love yourself first. Then you can love others. And
You're
then
worthy.
you'll have, you're worthy. And you'll
You're
have the
worthy.
capacity to be able to forgive others. And that's very, very important too.
That's one of the
because
most empowering things you can do.
and forgive yourself.
Yep.
How many times have we beat ourselves? We won't say something about somebody else, or we may not beat them up, but we'll beat ourselves up. Forgive yourself. Have enough love and compassion for yourself, respect for yourself. Remember, you are a mind with a body, and make sure you control that mind. On behalf of Emerson, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you watch this. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.